Welcome back. I'm Richard Hosnot, and I'm your host of the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast with listeners in over 70 countries and this Wisdom Inspired Life YouTube channel. This is a continuation of a short series, there'll be 3 in this series, talking about a Wisdom Inspired Life from a different perspective, and that is, what is a true reality? In the previous episode, talked about sharing research from quantum physicists that said there's absolutely nothing solid in the universe. It's all electromagnetic energy on the one hand. And on the other hand, Paramahansa Yogananda and other great wisdom teachers saying exactly the same thing, that everything that we see is really just electromagnetic energy and there is nothing solid in our universe. And I know that defies what our eyes see and supposedly conclude, and I'm going to talk about that in the next episode. But it's where quantum physics and wisdom teachers came together with a common view of what is real. In this particular episode, I'm going to be talking about healing. Some of that you saw in the video previously, and so with that in mind, let me just, if you didn't watch the previous episode in this series, I'm going to run that little short clip from that longer video that shows you about the power of healing and the power of the mind. What you saw in that small clip is the incredible power of the mind to heal. The power of the placebo effect, which is all about the power of the mind, is just incredible. And the studies about the placebo effect are many and deep. It's of concern to a lot of people in the drug industry and to doctors. How do you explain very high levels of healing, and often in some cases comparable to what an experimental drug might accomplish? How do you explain that? And it's easily explained if you understand the wisdom traditions, which is all about the power of the mind, and I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. Not in that particular video is an incredible study that was done by Dr. Dean Ornish of Stanford, reversing heart disease without drugs and surgery, proven in a study at Stanford and subsequently replicated by other scientists in other universities. Reversing heart disease without drugs and surgery. There's a book on it by that title. And when you take a look at what's in that particular program, at the heart of that program is meditation practice. There's a couple of other elements, but at the heart of it, it's a meditation practice which helps us to fully utilize the power of our mind. Now, there's another dimension of healing that I want to share with you, and this comes from a person that I've studied for a long, long time, Barbara Brennan, in her School of Healing. First it was in Long Island, and now it's in Florida. 2 big books, Hands of Light and Light Emerging. And by big books, I mean these are big, large format books. And what's important about that is there are a tremendous number of visuals in there and stories. And essentially what she has the ability to do with her vision, prior to doing this, she was a physicist for NASA. And at one point as she was young, she realized that when she was younger, she could see what is commonly called our aura, more specifically and accurately called the astral body and the layers on the astral body. Some people call it the light body, and you'll see that in what I'm going to share with you in a minute. And she has, in her School of Healing, taught medical doctors to be able to see the aura or astral body and to use that in their diagnosis and healing. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later in my own experiences with that here. So, very incredible story. I'm going to give you a little bit of a snippet from a video that they have on YouTube to give you a sense of what it's about. But if you're at all interested, Hands of Light, Light Emerging, Barbara Brennan, something you want to learn more about. So take a look at this little short video.
Hands of Light, the first of Barbara Brennan's 3 books, is considered a classic in human energy field dynamics and hands-on healing. It is still well received since its introduction over 3 decades ago. It was a New Age bestseller and has been printed in over 20 different languages. The book begins with the history of scientific investigations into the human energy field. Barbara explains that there is both a universal energy field as well as our personal energy field or aura. Hands of Light defines a 7-layer model of the human energy field. Each layer or level has a particular function and frequency that broadly corresponds to the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of our being. There is also a corresponding chakra associated with each level. Barbara views the chakras as vortices that exchange energy with the universal energy field and also enable expression and healthy functioning of our consciousness at each of the 7 levels, such as internal or X-ray vision, the process of connecting to spiritual guides, and the experience of opening chakras at the different levels of the energy field. The reader is also given corresponding practices and meditations so that they too can open these windows of perception.
Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. It's short and it is not entirely in context. If you want to see more, you can go onto YouTube and search for Barbara Brennan School of Healing, and you'll get more videos there. But again, her books, Hands of Light and Light Emerging, are 2 seminal books in the field. A lot of respect for the work that she does. I now want to turn and make it a bit more personal and share with you just a very few of the healing experiences that I've had. And they started in an unusual way. I was vice president of marketing at the Gallo Winery when I went to a leadership training program in San Diego, the Center for Creative Leadership, and a very good program. And on day 2, the entire group went out to a park where, among other things, they had set up an obstacle course. And I was paired up with someone who I had not met on the first day of class, and Monday. Had no idea who she was. But I was paired up with her, and my responsibility was, as with other people in the groups, other pairs, was to move her safely through a very challenging obstacle course. And her eyes were covered, and I decided the way I was going to do it was to get behind her, ask her permission to put my hands on her shoulders, which I did, and then softly guided her step by step. Took about 15 or 20 minutes. I had my hands on her shoulders and telling her what's coming up, take a step up, all the normal stuff that you would do, and we very safely navigated the obstacle course. Mission accomplished. 2 days later, on Thursday, the entire group had gone out to dinner, and on the bus ride back, she sat next to me and she said, "Richard, can we talk?" Sure. And we got off the bus and went into the lobby, and she told me the following story. She said that for the last 7 or so years, she had had acute, painful shoulders that was treated with maximum dosage narcotic pain medication. Something I had no idea about, obviously. And she said she waited 2 days to tell me, but she said ever since I put my hands on her shoulders and navigated her through, and when I took my hands off, that the pain disappeared for the first time in about 7 years. And she waited 48 hours to tell me because she wanted to make sure that the pain had gone away. And she asked me, "What did you do?" I've never been so dumbfounded, dumbfounded in my life, and two, had tears coming down because I was so happy that somehow she was healed. I knew it didn't have anything to do directly with me. It wasn't my intention. I was not aware of what the pain that she was experiencing. And so I said I didn't know. But I was glad that she was free of pain, and I was overjoyed, as was she. And I was mystified by what happened. I followed up with her 6 months later and asked how she was doing, and she said she had been pain-free every day for the 6 months following our attendance at that training session. So I said to myself, what was that all about? As I am inclined to do. Fast forward, I learned that there is this hands-on healing methodology called Reiki. And I decided to become a Reiki master, and I went into training to become a Reiki master, which is hands-on healing. In the course of that, I had a final exam by my Reiki master to become a Reiki master. And part of that final exam was to do a diagnosis on her body of where I found pain and areas of illness. And with my hands, I did a body scan on the top part of her body, and I found 2 areas in the top part of her body that I found an energy disturbance. And then I proceeded to the lower part of her body, doing her right leg, and then coming up her left leg. And my hand quickly discovered on the outside of her left knee an energy disturbance that was stronger than any of the ones that I'd found in her upper body. And I said, I think there's something, I'm finding something that's not right here. And she said, no, there's nothing wrong there. I said, sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Passed the final exam. 5 days later, she called me on the phone. She said, Richard, I'm standing here talking to you on crutches. Remember that disturbance you found on the outside of my left knee? Well, and whether it was a ligament or cartilage or whatever it was, it ruptured and tore, and she was now on crutches. She said to me, you discovered something that was not even evident to me at the time. Now, I didn't obviously participate in any healing in that particular process, but it was using the methodologies that I'd been taught in Reiki to do diagnosis, and there's also things that you can then do in the Reiki system to help facilitate healing. Okay. So those were the 2 events that were directly connected. I look back on that first time with taking the woman through the obstacle course, and my best read on it at the moment is that I was like a copper wire for the universe or God to deliver healing energy to her shoulder. It certainly was, as I said, not intentional on my part in any way. And I was that conduit, that piece, like an electric wire, to deliver that to her. Next is, in the course of the almost 3 years of lessons that you can take through the Self-Realization Fellowship, you learn various healing techniques. I work out. I get up at 5 a.m. every day, and I work out every day. And at this particular point in time of the example I'm sharing with you, I was doing lifting of weights more to keep tone as opposed to building any muscle or anything like that. And in my right arm, I was increasingly, over a 6-month period of time, the pain was increasing in my left shoulder. Started off mildly. Actually, as I'm looking at this picture, I put the hand on my right shoulder. It's the reverse of what you see in the video here. But on this shoulder here, pain gradually developed over the 6 months. And at about month 4, the pain became so significant that I had to stop doing some exercises. And at about 6 months, it had made quite an impact. I'm a slow learner. I should have gone to an orthopedic sooner. But the seminal moment was we had a golden retriever puppy who was very energetic and loved to run in our house. And I was playing with him, and he ran by me, and I took my hand to kind of slap his butt as he ran on by. And the pain in my shoulder was so great that my knees buckled, and I was on the floor doing deep breathing to relieve the pain. I went to an orthopedic, got an MRI, big bone spur in my right shoulder. And I was told that the only thing that could help it was to have surgery. Well, it was at that point that I decided to utilize the healing techniques that Yogananda has taught in the lessons. And I dedicated myself to 3 days of very intense meditation and visualization in my meditation, of removing that bone spur that I'd seen on the MRI, shaving it down, eliminating it. 3 days of this, and after 6 months of pain every single day, at the end of day 3, the pain was completely gone, as I had removed the bone spur with the specific techniques and the use of my mind in meditation and concentration. And it's now more than a decade later, and I've never had an ounce of pain since then. I have had other healing experiences, both self-healing and otherwise, and have come to realize that it's a very powerful technique, and I'm still in the process of trying to understand the meaning of it in my life, and why am I introduced to this. And so I'm sharing it with you as part of that. So it's an interesting aspect on the wisdom-inspired life path, when you get to deeper meditation, get to understanding different healing techniques that you can use in a wisdom-inspired life to be able to help. There's lots you can learn on this whole topic, using the power of your mind and other things for healing, should you be so interested. Okay? So we've covered quite a bit of ground here in this particular episode on the subject of healing. All of it is very different than what you encounter in the traditional medical world. I have some very interesting conversations with my medical doctors. Fortunately, I don't need them much, but I really challenge them on their current treatment paradigm, which I call cuts and chemicals. Doctors either cut something out or they give you a drug, and that's pretty much what the treatment paradigm is. And there are so many more tools, especially if the Western medicine would open up to Eastern medicine and other sorts of things, and what is taught in the wisdom traditions. We are not utilizing the full set of capabilities, healing capabilities, that are available broadly in the world. Okay? I'm talking about this from a personal perspective. I've not taken this to any sort of professional level like Anne Brennan has done. So in this entire episode, what you've seen is some very different dimensions than you may have been accustomed to on what healing is all about. And the dimensions of healing that I'm talking about here are all things that will open up increasingly, both for you and the broader world, as more people embrace a wisdom-inspired life. It's what it's all about, part of what it's all about. Okay? Well, this is part of my journey. Thank you for sharing it with me, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you soon.